गुड मॉर्निंग क्लास 8। हमारा चैप्टर हो चुका है कंबशन एंड फ्लेम विद द क्वेश्चन आंसर्स ऑफ दिस चैप्टर। तो आज हम डिजी में इसको एक बेटर वे में अंडरस्टैंड करने की कोशिश करेंगे। इज़ इट क्लियर टू यू? आई होप कि आप लोगों ने चैप्टर करा है, क्वेश्चन आंसर्स करे हैं, आप लोगों को क्लियर हो गए होंगे। ठीक है, आज हम इसको डिजी में समझेंगे। फर्स्ट टॉपिक इज कंडीशंस रिक्वायर्ड फॉर कंबशन। ये टॉपिक आप लोगों ने पढ़ा था क्लास कि कंडीशंस क्या होती हैं कंबशन के लिए। इज अ कंबस्टिबल सब्सटेंस ऑल दैट यू नीड फॉर कंबशन टू टेक प्लेस। Conditions required for combustion are combustible substance, oxygen, ignition temperature. See, जब एयर की सप्लाई कट ऑफ कर दी क्लास तो क्या हुआ? कैंडल फ्लेम बंद हो गई, कैंडल बुझ गई, कैंडल लाइट नहीं हो रही। इज इट क्लियर? आप देखो फर्स्ट केस में क्या है, कैंडल जल रही है। सेकेंड केस में क्या है, कैंडल बुझ गई है। क्यों? क्योंकि एयर की सप्लाई कट ऑफ कर दी है। तो व्हाट इज द एसेंशियल कंडीशन फॉर कंबशन? दैट अगर एयर सप्लाई हम कट कर देते हैं तो कंबशन नहीं हो पाएगा। तो कंडीशंस रिक्वायर्ड फॉर कंबशन आर कंबस्टिबल सब्सटेंस एंड द प्रेजेंस ऑफ ऑक्सीजन। इज इट क्लियर? ऑक्सीजन प्रेजेंट होगी तो ही कंबशन हो पाएगा।
Piece of wood does not burn even when a burning matchstick is brought near it. And vegetable oil in a wok catches fire only when heated for a while. Why do these substances behave so differently?
सी, वुड के पास अगर आप मैचस्टिक लाए हो तो वुड बर्न नहीं हुई, बट वेजिटेबल ऑयल में क्या है, फटाफट से बर्निंग हो गई। इज इट क्लियर टू यू? तो इसका रीजन क्या हो सकता है क्लास?
They have different ignition temperatures.
क्योंकि हर सब्सटेंस का अलग अलग इग्निशन टेम्परेचर होता है। फॉस्फोरस का है 35 डिग्री सेल्सियस, वुड का है 280 डिग्री सेल्सियस टू 340 डिग्री सेल्सियस, एंड नेक्स्ट इज वेजिटेबल ऑयल का है 327 डिग्री सेल्सियस।
The ignition temperature of a substance is the lowest temperature at which it catches fire.
So what is the ignition temperature? Ignition temperature is the lowest temperature at which a substance catches fire.
A piece of white phosphorus will burst into flame on exposure to oxygen because it has a very low ignition temperature. However, a piece of wood with a higher ignition temperature does not burn easily.
वुड का इग्निशन टेम्परेचर क्या होता है? वुड का इग्निशन टेम्परेचर हाई होता है, इसलिए वुड इजीली बर्न नहीं होती।
And vegetable oil in a wok catches fire when heated for a while. Substances that have very low ignition temperatures and can easily catch fire with a flame are called.
What are inflammable substances? Substances that have very low ignition temperature and can easily catch fire with a flame are called inflammable substances. Is it clear to you the definition of inflammable substances? ऐसे substances जिनका ignition temperature बहुत ही ज़्यादा लो होता है और आसानी से fire catch कर जाते हैं flame से। Is it clear to you the definition of inflammable substances? Substances that have very low ignition temperature and can easily catch fire with a flame. Is it clear to you? What are inflammable substances?
Called inflammable substances. Petrol, alcohol, and liquefied petroleum gas or LPG are some inflammable substances. Do you think that water can be heated in a paper cup? Let's find out by heating the paper cup under a gallon. It seems water can actually be boiled in a paper cup. But why doesn't the paper burn before the water starts boiling? The heat is supplied to the paper cup and from the paper cup to the water by conduction.
See, here a candle is lighted and in paper cup water is put. So water is boiling in this paper cup. Can you suggest the reason why? Because heat is transferred to the water through conduction. That is why the paper does not catch fire. Is it clear to you? पेपर में फायर कैच नहीं हो पाती बिकॉज क्योंकि जो वाटर में हीट है वो कंडक्शन के थ्रू पहुंच जाती है.
Water in the paper cup keeps the temperature of the paper cup lower than its ignition temperature. Therefore, the paper does not start burning. Here are the ignition temperatures of some popular fuels.
Next is how to control a fire.
All of us are aware of the disaster an uncontrolled fire can cause. We are all advised to take certain steps in case of fire. When a person's clothes catch fire, covering that person with a blanket helps to put the fire out. Fire brigades use water to put out fires. Do you know why?
So a question is asked to you class, why is a person on fire covered with a blanket to put the fire out? And how does water help put out a fire?
Recall what you have learned so far about the conditions required for combustion. So how can you control a fire? By controlling all or any of these conditions, we can control fire.
So how can you control fire? By removing the fuel, by cutting off air supply, or by bringing the temperature of the fuel below its ignition temperature.
Covering a person with a blanket cuts off the supply of air and thus prevents fire from spreading. When water is poured on a fire, it brings down the temperature of the combustible material. Additionally, the water vapor surrounds the combustible material and cuts.
I hope it must be clear to you.
However, consider fires caused by electrical equipment and oils. Should you use water to put out these fires?
So now here the question is asked that can you use water to put off the fires that are caused by electrical equipments. अगर इलेक्ट्रिकल इक्विपमेंट्स के थ्रू फायर लग जाती है, ठीक है, किसी एरिया में इलेक्ट्रिकल इक्विपमेंट्स के थ्रू फायर कैच कर जाती है, तो क्या आपको वाटर यूज करना चाहिए? यू हैव टू टेल दिस.
Never. As water is a conductor of electricity, it may harm.
ठीक है, अगर इलेक्ट्रिकल इक्विपमेंट्स के थ्रू फायर कैच कर जाती है तो यू शुड नॉट यूज वाटर. Do not use water to put out a fire caused by electrical equipments and oil. Why? Because water is a conductor of electricity. Is it clear to you? Water is a conductor of electricity. That is why you should not use water in case the fires are caused by electrical equipments.
On the person who uses water to put out the fire. Since water is heavier than oil, it would sink below the oil, and the oil would keep burning on top. Cutting off the supply of air is not possible in the case of a fire in a building or a forest fire. The solution in such cases is to use a fire extinguisher. Fire extinguishers contain carbon dioxide stored as a liquid under high pressure in the cylinders. This is the best extinguisher for fires involving electrical equipment and inflammable materials such as petrol,
So,
carbon dioxide.
so class, what is the best extinguisher of fire in case of fires involving electrical equipment? That is CO2. Why? Because CO2 forms a blanket around the fire to cut off air supply. Is it clear to you all?
Oxide is heavier than oxygen. It forms a blanket around the fire, cuts off the supply of air, and brings down the temperature of the fuel. On top of this, it poses no danger if electrical equipment is involved. Now, let's do a quick activity.
Which one of them is in danger of catching fire without even being exposed to spark? एक सब्सटेंस है जिसका इग्निशन टेम्परेचर 580 डिग्री सेल्सियस है, एक सब्सटेंस है जिसका इग्निशन टेम्परेचर 246 डिग्री सेल्सियस है, and the substance C has ignition temperature 20 degree Celsius. So you have to tell which substance is in danger of catching fire. इनमें से किसमें जल्दी फायर कैच होगी? क्लास, कैन यू टेल द आंसर? You know why 20 डिग्री सेल्सियस आंसर आया? तो जो आपने लास्ट क्वेश्चन देखा था उसका आंसर होगा 20 डिग्री सेल्सियस. 20 डिग्री सेल्सियस क्यों होगा? क्योंकि 20 डिग्री सेल्सियस पे जल्दी टेम्परेचर कम है, ठीक है. तो टेम्परेचर कम होने के कारण क्या होगा? फायर जल्दी कैच हो जाएगी उस पर्टिकुलर सब्सटेंस में. इज इट क्लियर टू यू? सी, kerosene should be stored carefully because it is inflammable, it has bad odor, it has high ignition temperature. केरोसिन को क्यों स्टोर कर रखना चाहिए केयरफुली? बिकॉज इट इज इन्फ्लेमेबल. इज इट क्लियर टू यू? बिकॉज इट इज इन्फ्लेमेबल. The ignition temperature is the lowest temperature at which a substance catches fire, temperature at which a substance boils, or the highest temperature at which the substance will catch fire. You have to tell the answer of this one. Ignition temperature is the lowest temperature at which a substance catches fire. Next question is, which one of the following helps you to control fire? इनमें से किस तरह से आप फायर को कंट्रोल कर सकते हो? फर्स्ट इज कट ऑफ द वाटर सप्लाई एंड ब्रिंग डाउन द इग्निशन टेम्परेचर. नो. कट ऑफ द पावर सप्लाई एंड ब्रिंग डाउन द इग्निशन टेम्परेचर ऑफ द बर्निंग मटेरियल. दिस वन इज ऑल्सो रॉन्ग. Cut off the air supply and bring down the temperature of the burning material. So this one is correct. Question number 5 has its answer as C. Which of the following is suitable for a fire caused by sparkling in a faulty electrical appliance? इलेक्ट्रिकल अप्लायंस से जो फायर कैच होती है आप उसमें क्या यूज कर सकते हो? कैन यू यूज पेट्रोल? नो. सैंड यू कैन नॉट. Water also you cannot use. So the correct answer will be CO2. Is it clear to you? Correct answer will be CO2. Okay class. Next question is, why is water not suitable for extinguishing a fire caused by electrical equipment? Water को क्यों यूज नहीं करना चाहिए? Water is a bad conductor of electricity. Water is a good conductor of electricity. Water is a good conductor of heat. You have to tell the answer. Because water is a good conductor of electricity. Which of the following does a fire extinguisher contain? CO2, hydrogen or oxygen? Answer will be CO2. Is it clear to you all the questions that we have discussed?
Here are the ignition temperatures of some materials.
See, these are the conditions for combustion: combustible substance, supply of air and ignition temperature. These all things are essential for combustion. And what is ignition temperature? Temperature at which a substance catches fire. How can you control normal fires? You can remove the fuel, you can cut off the air supply. It can be through water, and you can cut off the air supply by CO2, which is used as a fire extinguisher. And next is bring down the ignition temperature. Next is combustion and its types.
Which of these items can be used to keep the fire going?
See, you have to tell which of these items can be used to keep the fire going. Clay pot? No. Steel pan? No.
As you can see, not all substances burn.
Sawdust is the right one. Next is combustion.
What happens when a substance burns? What are the products of a fire? Can you think of some other substances that we burn in our everyday lives? To answer these questions, you need to learn about combustion. The burning of a substance is known as combustion. During combustion, a substance reacts with oxygen to produce heat.
So what happens in combustion? During combustion, combustible substance reacts with oxygen to give off heat.
In scientific terms, combustion is a chemical process in which a substance reacts with oxygen to produce heat. Water vapor, carbon dioxide and light can also be products of combustion.
Is it clear to you what all are the products of combustion? That is heat, water vapor, CO2 and light.
Fossil fuels such as charcoal burns in oxygen to produce carbon dioxide and heat.
See, I have already told you while we were reading the chapter that what all are the combustible materials. I have told you that charcoal is combustible, okay, because it reacts with oxygen to give off CO2 and heat. Is it clear to you why charcoal is combustible material?
The light produced may appear either as a flame or as a glow. Not all substances undergo combustion. A substance that undergoes combustion is said to be combustible. Some combustible substances are used as fuels. Here are some combustible and non-combustible substances in your lab. Combustion can be of several types. If a fuel burns rapidly to produce heat and light, the process is known as
What is rapid combustion? When fuel burns rapidly and produces heat and light. That process is known as rapid combustion. Class, what is rapid combustion? When fuel burns rapidly and produces heat and light, then that process is known as rapid combustion.
as rapid combustion. A good example is the ignition of a gas burner. Spontaneous combustion occurs when a material suddenly bursts into flames without the application of any apparent cause.
And what is spontaneous
For
combustion?
example, white phosphates, when spontaneous combustion occurs when a material
See, what is spontaneous combustion? The type of combustion in which material suddenly burst into flames. ऐसा material जो एकदम से flames में turn out हो जाए without the application of any apparent cause, उसको बोला जाता है spontaneous combustion.
suddenly bursts into flames without the application of any apparent cause. For example, white phosphates, when kept in air for some time, reacts with the oxygen in the air and bursts into flames. Did you know spontaneous combustion of coal dust has resulted in many disastrous fires in coal mines? Finally, consider the fireworks you see in festivals. What type of combustion is that?
What type of combustion is the firework? This you have already read. It's explosion.
Lighting of fireworks results in a sudden evolution of heat, light,
See, this is explosion. When you burn crackers, explosion is the sudden reaction with the evolution of heat, light and sound.
and sound. Such a reaction is called explosion. On explosion, a large amount of gas formed in the reaction is liberated. The sudden evolution of large quantities of gas creates excessive pressure that produces a loud noise. This is not all. Based on the availability of oxygen, combustion can be further classified as complete and incomplete combustion. Combustion is complete if the supply of oxygen is adequate and the substance burns completely.
So when the combustion is complete, अगर जो ऑक्सीजन की सप्लाई है वो प्रॉपर क्वांटिटी, मतलब जो ऑक्सीजन आपको सप्लाई करी जा रही है दैट इज इन प्रॉपर अमाउंट्स और एडिक्वेट अमाउंट्स में है, तो सब्सटेंस विल बर्न कंप्लीटली. इज इट क्लियर टू यू? ओके.
If the supply of oxygen is inadequate, then the combustion is incomplete.
And on the other hand, if the supply of oxygen is inadequate, then combustion is incomplete.
Incomplete combustion of fuel in vehicles produces exhaust gases. Incomplete combustion of fuels such as coal and oil leads to the production of many pollutants such as carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, and nitrogen dioxide. Sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide can become the cause of acid rain. You will learn more about the hazards of carbon monoxide in another nugget. It's time for an activity.
See, these are the combustible substances on one hand, and on the other hand it clear to you, class? तो क्लास अभी तक हमने पढ़ा कंबशन एंड इट्स टाइप. नाउ वी विल स्टडी अबाउट फ्लेम.
What is the difference in the combustion of these two substances? Substances which vaporize during burning give flames.
So the substances that vaporize during burning gives flames.
Watch this video clip. The wax vapors ignite before the wick ignites. A candle burns by the ignition of the hot wax vapor and so forms a flame. Warm liquid wax is sucked upwards towards the flame through capillary action. On reaching the flame, the wax gains heat and vaporizes. The air rising upwards carries the wax vapor to the burning flame, ensuring a continuous supply of vapor and hence continuous combustion. Kerosene also rises through a wick and forms a flame. Charcoal does not vaporize and hence no flame is produced when it burns.
So is it clear to you? Flame produce होती है जब जो substance burn कर रही है वो vaporize करे. But here you can see that charcoal does not vaporize and therefore it does not produces a flame. Is it clear to you, class?
Find out which of these items will form a flame while burning.
So you have to tell which of the items will form a flame. Sawdust will sawdust form a flame? Drinking glass, non-combustible. Newspaper, C. Stones, it is also non-combustible. Oil lamp and coal. Now comes the flame structure.
Usually, the flame is composed of 3 zones.
See, class, understand this carefully.
Into the structure of a flame. Not all parts of a flame look alike. The luminous zone of the flame.
See, this one is the luminous zone of a flame.
When a copper wire is held in the outer zone of the flame, the wire glows red hot. In fact, goldsmiths use the outermost part of the flame
Goldsmiths use the
for melting
outermost
metals.
zone for melting
Why do they
metals.
do that? The outer blue zone has the highest temperature, as it receives enough oxygen to burn the vapor completely.
See, this one is the blue zone. This has the maximum temperature.
Unlike the yellow zone, the blue zone is not luminous. So this zone is called the non-luminous zone.
And this one is the non-luminous zone. सो क्लास, आई होप कंबशन, टाइप्स ऑफ कंबशन एंड फ्लेम इज क्लियर टू यू। आप लोगों को समझ आ गया होगा कि कंबशन क्या होती है, कंबशन के टाइप्स और फ्लेम क्या होती है, फ्लेम के लिए क्या क्या कंडीशंस होते हैं कि जो सब्सटेंस है वो वेपराइज होनी चाहिए, बर्निंग हो रही है जब, तो ही फ्लेम प्रोड्यूस होगी। तो आई होप क्लास आप लोगों को ये क्लियर हो गया होगा कॉन्सेप्ट। कल से हम न्यू चैप्टर स्टार्ट करेंगे। इज इट ओके?